Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Secretary of State for advance sight of her statement. I join the Secretary of State in sending our condolences to the family of the man who died in Hampshire. On behalf of the opposition, I want to thank the emergency services, the Environment Agency, local councils, volunteers and communities who have worked tirelessly to protect homes and businesses, rescue people and animals from rising waters, fallen trees and debris, and to all those who work to reinforce flood defences, and not forgetting the RNLI and our Coast Guard too. The reality of the climate crisis is that more extreme weather will happen more often and with more severe consequences, especially for those who live and work in areas of high flood risk. As the climate breakdown escalates, we are seeing an increase in the frequency and intensity of deadly weather patterns. Much more needs to be done to prevent flooding, alleviate carbon emissions through habitat restoration and returning floodplains to a natural state. Building homes on floodplains must stop. The government needs to ask itself, since Parliament declared a climate emergency, what is it doing differently on flooding, on protecting our communities? Austerity has had a devastating impact on our environment. There have been unprecedented cuts to our local authorities across the country, including those councils that have been most affected by the increased flooding and increased risk of flooding. The Environment Agency has seen its staffing levels fall by 20% since the government came to power, and I want to see ministers look afresh at what can be done now that Parliament has declared a climate emergency. A new plan for flooding should recognise the realities of the climate crisis, reverse the cuts to our frontline services, invest in comprehensive flood prevention, promote land use change, encourage habitat restoration, and acknowledge in the funding settlements for councils the higher risk in those areas who face flooding so often. I recognise that some new flood schemes have been delivered, but the list the Secretary of State gave out is what she has done, not what she will do in response to this flooding. Will the Minister now accept that a comprehensive plan for flooding is now needed? Is it now time for ministers to recognise that requiring matched funding for some flood schemes means poorer communities lose out compared to richer areas? The Environment Agency said only last year that they need £1 billion a year to protect our communities and a new approach for flooding. When will ministers listen to their own government agency and fund flood protection properly? And does the Secretary of State have a date for the Prime Minister's much-trailed flood summit he promised last year? Will the trials of the new environmental land management scheme be targeted at those areas where flooding has been most severe this time? And what action is she taking to ensure that those homes and businesses without insurance who have been denied it and are still outside the current flood re-scheme get the affordable protection that they so deserve? Mr. Speaker, water is incredibly destructive and can destroy homes, businesses and livelihoods. Many of those flooded this time have been flooded before. So finally, can the Secretary of State give them an assurance that the warm words and government press releases this time will result in more action than they saw the last time?